Ba-ba-ba-beem, ba-ba-ba-boo. Looks like we are connected. How's it going, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Tell me where you're tuning in from. Be interested to know. We always get people from all around the globe. Sorry, all you flat earthers out there. Yeah. Anyway, the world, okay? So, yeah, we're going to be talking about the latest archaeological and ancient historical news. Oh, my hair is just all over the place, isn't it? Anyway. Oh, we got someone from Hamburg, Germany. All right. Welcome, welcome. I'm sure we have our usual viewers from the United States. Another person from Germany, Anya. Yeah, all right, great. Streetsboro, Ohio. The Northeast. The UK. Tasmania. Wow, that's far. What time is it in Tasmania? Burlington, Canada. Great. All right. Yeah, keep it coming. Basically, for those of you who are new, and we might have some new people, my video this month on the creepiest discoveries of the year gained 2,000 subscribers for the channel. So we got 2,000 new people with us. I don't know about right now, today, but but if you are one of those people, welcome. Every month, I do a live stream of the latest archaeological discoveries of the month. So this will just be for the month of October that we're doing it today. And there's all kinds of stuff. I have to curate it, figure out what you think would be the most interesting. And I have about 20-something things to go over today. Yeah, about 22, I think, at last count. And but it's just a bit more of a slower pace, a little bit more casual, because we're chatting with the chat, we're talking with people, I'm answering questions. If you like, rapid fire news, that's not what the live stream is all about. But hopefully you'll enjoy hanging out with me today. How's my sound? Is my sound good? All right, we got someone from Arkansas. Oh, another person from Ohio. California. Got work, but will listen while I do. Sad times being on a night shift when the clocks go back an hour. Oh, yeah. Less sleep, right? Australia, Tucson, Arizona, Romania, Orange County, New York. I didn't know there was an Orange County, New York. I knew there was an Orange County, California. Most people get an extra hour in bed. I get an extra hour at work. Oh, you're right. Yes. 5 a.m. in Tasmania? Okay, well, you're up at the crack of dawn. Mexico. Dartmoor. Whoa, I accidentally happened upon this right after finishing another clip. Well, glad you could make it. This is live. You're talking to me right now. This is what I'm doing right now. Oregon. Doc, you look tired. I look tired? Oh. My allergies are bothering me a little bit. The light on my face is a little dark. Can I up it up here a little bit? Okay. Anyway. Finland. Buffalo. I'm from Buffalo, Bonnie. Yeah. Tonawanda, to be exact. Austria, Pennsylvania, Germany, London, France, Denmark. All right. Great to have you all here. Everybody's interested in this kind of stuff, right? All right. Well, I don't want to keep you waiting any longer. Let's talk about some of the news, okay? Let me switch over so you can see my screen. I do a little bit of this. Okay. Can you see that? Oh, you can't see the headline. The headline's down here. All right, look at this. Lost archive of the Mitanni Empire with Akkadian cuneiform tablets and an unknown Hittite prince unearthed in Turkey. Oh my gosh, what is this? And I love it when they find inscriptions. And you can see in this picture here some examples. But I don't know if ever even heard of Mitanni. Some people haven't. If you're an ancient history fan, maybe you've heard of Mitanni. But back in the Bronze Age, the late Bronze Age, okay, in the Middle East, there were three major powers. And they were Egypt, as you might guess, that was the New Kingdom. That was the imperial period for Egypt. You got the Hittite Empire, and then you have Mitanni. And it didn't last for very long, a few centuries, and then it was gone. Okay, but it was pretty big. It was a powerhouse at the time. And we have never found its capital city, and we're always hoping we will so that we can find, hopefully, an archive of Mitannian documents. Now, this is not from the capital city, but it's documents from the period, okay? This is at a place called Alalak. Well, that's the ancient name, Alalak. Today it's called Aşağıseyit, and it's in southern Turkey's Hatay province. Hatay province? You'll have to forgive me on some of these Turkish words. Anyway, yeah, Akkadian. Now, Akkadian was not the language of Mitanni, but it was an international, correspondence kind of language. All right, so people wrote to each other in Akkadian. Akkadian is the language of Mesopotamia. It's a Semitic language, and it was very big at the time. But in Mitanni, maybe in the capital, they probably would have written in their. Well, actually, they might have used cuneiform to write their own language, which was Hurrian. But Akkadian was usually the language he wrote to other kings about and such. Okay, so anyway. The excavation team led by Professor Murat Akar discovered the Akkadian language cuneiform tablets within a dense destruction layer near the palace complex of the Idrimi dynasty, which ruled Alalak between 1500 and 1400 BC. So you can see parts of the palace here. Now, what's in the archive? You might say, oh, is there any, really awesome information here? Well, it is awesome for some people. Furniture orders, personnel rosters, and records of commodity distribution. So if you're interested in the economy, oh, this would be great. Okay, this is for all you economy buffs out there. But yeah, it's not. There's nothing in here so far. I mean, I'm sure they're probably still reading them, but so far nothing about the any great wars or anything. But I'm assuming that if there's a lot here, that there'll be more. They'll be translated, and we might find out more. And then there's a new ceiling. There are actually more than one new ceiling. And if you wonder what the ceiling is, it's not that. The ceiling is when you press either a cylinder seal or a stamp seal into clay, you create a ceiling. Okay? Yeah. And this is what you would use to, if you rolled up a document and you sealed it with clay and then you stamped it, that would be a seal, right? Or you could put it on commodities, like on a big jar, and you put a cork in there. Well, they didn't use cork, but they'll put a plug in there, and then you put on the seal, okay? That's what these are. One seal bears the name of a previously unknown Hittite prince. So a new member of royalty that we didn't know about. Now, this is from the Hittite period. Alalak was taken over by the Hittites. We can add somebody to the royal genealogy of the Hittite dynasty. The seals also portray the storm god battling winged beasts. You can see it there. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So that was one of the great discoveries that was just announced this month. Okay? I should be looking at the chat to see if you have any questions. All right. Hurrians, that's right. They were always in a rush. Hello from Burlington, Vermont. Glad to have you. Massachusetts. My parents are from Turkey. How cool. Lingua Akkadian. Yeah. You're mixing languages there, but yes. Hello from Mississippi. Holland. Oh, Holland NL. Oh, Netherlands. Yeah. Okay. Those records are actually interesting. They tell us a lot about the everyday lives and the industries. I'm not trying to play it down. I'm just saying some people in the audience might not be excited about that, but yeah. The imagery in those cylinder seals is interesting. I once stumbled upon an article on the animals and the symbolism. Cool. Yeah. A nice win for the Hittite buffs. Yeah. This guy likes whiskey a bit too much. No, you think I'm drunk? I act like this all the time. Oh, it's in Finland. Oh, okay. Sorry, Turku. Finland. Oh, all right. Okay. Minnesota. Currently double majoring in anthropology and history. I love catching every stream as I study. Oh, thanks, Dylan. Appreciate that. Let's look at another one, huh? Hidden gold and silver treasures. Oh, man. People like to hear this, don't they? Found beneath 1,300-year-old Buddha statue in Thailand. And there you can see 2 Buddha statues. Okay, archaeologists in Thailand have made an extraordinary discovery, unearthing a hidden trove of gold and silver treasures beneath the statue. They've uncovered a hidden collection of gold, silver, and bronze artifacts. But they said it 3 times, okay, beneath the statue. Yes. The discovery was made during a conservation project aimed at reducing underground moisture around the sandstone Buddha image, one of Thailand's oldest and largest reclining Buddha statues. And the workers stumbled upon a ceramic container holding metal ornaments about 1.3 meters below the statue's base. Inside were 33 items, including gold rings, silver earrings, and intricately shaped bronze ornaments dating back to the Dvaravati period, 6th to 11th centuries. Okay, that's kind of medieval, but it's in the late ancient period and then into the medieval. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Now, this is where they found it, down here in this pit. Okay? You can see how far below it was, and you can see the base of the statue. And then here's a few of the objects. You've got a gold sheet embossed with a seated Buddha in relatively good condition. And then here's some metal ornaments, earrings and things like that. Yeah. So I thought that was a cool discovery. All right. Let's look at another one here. 3,500-year-old Egyptian military fortress with ancient ovens and fossilized dough discovered in Sinai Desert. Can you imagine that? Yeah. I mean, discovering the fort itself is great, but ancient ovens with dough inside them. Unbelievable. So here you can see a bit of the fortress wall. Many times in archaeology, you find the bottoms of the walls. You know, they're not as tall as they used to be, but that's normal. It has a zigzag style wall. Isn't that weird? Now, why do you think they'd have the zigzag style wall? Probably because it was better for defense, I'm guessing, right? Yeah. But it also has remnants of ovens and a hunk of fossilized dough that the fortress's soldiers never got a chance to eat. Yeah. It may have been built during the reign of Thutmose I, circa 1504 to 1492 BC. So this is very old. Yeah. If you don't know, Thutmose I was the pharaoh who expanded Egypt's empire into modern-day Syria. Did he really? I thought that was Thutmose III. I'm wondering. He did expand the territory. I didn't know if he went into Syria, though. I'll have to double-check that. We have to fact-check this writer. Yeah, the fortress was discovered at Tel El Koruba, an archaeological site near an ancient military road that was known as the Way of Horus. Yeah, in the Sinai Desert. Okay? You know where the Sinai Peninsula is? There. So it's outside of Egypt proper. Yeah. You can see a little bit more here. A little bit more of the zigzag. Okay? And here's the name of Thutmose I. This is why they are naming him. Okay? Doesn't mean, though, that he built it just because his name is there, but it could be. Could be. Yeah. They estimate the garrison likely ranged between 400 and 700 soldiers, with a reasonable average of around 500. They found the residences for the soldiers. Yeah. So isn't this great? I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and it was first posted on Facebook. I have that post as well. And let's see if they have any additional pictures. Oh, they're the same pictures, same photos. But you can see them a little bit better, right? Oh, there's some, you didn't see that one. Yeah. Amazing. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. 3,000-year-old public building unearthed at Sogmatar, a new chapter in the sacred city of the moon god. Look at that. Huge mound. Okay? Yeah, this is from the Neo-Assyrian period. So this is the period of the Assyrian Empire. This is when the empire was at its height. Okay? Sogmatar's, yeah, and the G is, as I understand it, pretty much silent. Sogmatar's excavation team, led by Dr. Suhaila Irem Mutlu, in coordination with the Şanlıurfa Museum, identified a structure comprising 7 adjoining rooms. Each room features walls standing up to 2 meters in height, with thickness of about 1 meter. Now, the reason why this is so interesting is this is already an archaeological site that we've known about for some time. But what we found there was the necropolis, the cemetery. And you could actually go there, I think, and visit it. Let me show you that part. See here? Rock-cut tombs, 83 of them. Look at that in the cliffside. Amazing. So this is a cool place to go, all right? And then we've known about that for a long time. But it was long thought that it was just a place out away from any cities. But now it would appear there was a city right there. Okay? There's another tomb there. See? Public building. Public building, you know, if you find just residences, okay, there's probably a village or whatever it may be. But finding a public building means that it would have been it would have been important enough to have a large public building, right? So it was probably of considerable size. And, yeah, so it's great to find something like that. So that means that archaeologists are probably really primed now to go in there and do a whole bunch of digging and find more. Since you see, can you see my cursor? Yeah. This is the area where they're finding things, right? This is the structures. Now, can you imagine if they keep going? Okay, what they're going to find? This is going to be great. So stay tuned probably for more information from Sogmatar. Let's see what you guys have to say. Let's see. I'd imagine that your audience would be more than a bit interested in the geeky tidbits of archaeology. Yes. Hello from Los Angeles. Hey there. Ooh, shiny things. Yes. Will the Maitreya return after the discovery? I am assuming so. Yeah. Well, actually, it was still there, but I think they just kind of went underneath. Can't stand YouTube not using our usernames. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I would know that. But it says World of Antiquity when I do it. Weird. I'm not a bit surprised they found something similar a few years ago, if I recall correctly, also somewhere in Southeast Asia. Probably for wall strength. Oh, the zigzag. Yeah, uh-huh. I'm hankering for some ancient fossilized dough. It's a delicacy, you know. You have to wait a long time before it's ready. Wow, I need to look that fortress up. Is there an article somewhere we can find it? I'm going to post the links to all of these that I'm showing you, and most of them have links to either the archaeological announcement from the university or something like that, or to a study that was done or something like that. So you'll be able to see these, and then you'll be able to go from there. When will you visit Pakistan for Indus Valley, Taxila, and other ancient sites visit? I want to go to Pakistan. It's on the list. I'm probably going to go to India first, no offense. But I do want to go to Pakistan as well, because you have some amazing ancient ruins there for sure. Right? Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, and oh yeah. Gotta go. They discovered the first case of sliced bread. Dr. Milano, it's Miano, there's no L. Normally adds links. Oh, yeah, okay, you just told him, Stuart. Thank you, Stuart. Come on, Stuart, you're a longtime fan. You should know my name by now. Apparently, he went into Syria chasing the Hyksos. Oh, okay, crossing the Euphrates. Okay. But did he take over Syria? I don't think so. Yeah, no permanent presence, yeah. I think you're right. So even if he didn't build it, would you say it could have been dedicated to him after his death? Well, he could have visited there. He could have, any number of reasons why he could be mentioned. Which moon god? Oh, the moon god of Sogmatar? You know what? I don't know off the top of my head. But I think the moon god is named here. Let me double check. Lunar capital, here we go. A lunar cult. Does it say? Huh? Oh, Sin. Oh, yes. Oh, so it's the Mesopotamian moon god. Okay. Sin. Yes. Or Nana is the other name. That's the Mesopotamian name. Okay, let's look at another one. This is from Korea. I've actually got two from Korea this month. They've been doing some work over there. Ancient tomb discovered beneath another, with man possibly buried alive 1,600 years ago. Yeah, you heard that right. Alive. Okay, so here are the newly discovered wooden... This is a wooden chamber tomb number 1. So this is one tomb that we're looking at here. Part of the ancient tomb complex in Gyeongju. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Presumed to have been made during the Silla dynasty. It lasted a long time. 57 BC to AD 935. Okay, yeah. So anyway, it was beneath another tomb from the Silla dynasty, a general who ruled in the late 4th to early 5th century. So it'd have to be before that. Okay, and they found a man presumed to be buried alive. Okay, yeah. Let's see. In a cramped burial space, smaller than 3.3 square meters, armor and helmets generally worn by humans and horses were laid down first, and the body seemed to be stuffed afterward into the remaining space, leaving the body of the man with his legs splayed open. What's left of the general who the man was buried with are only a few teeth, alongside a gold bronze crown and a ring pommel sword. Isn't that something? Pretty cool, though. Tomb number 120 follows the stone mound and wooden chamber style typical of Silla. Wooden tomb number 1 features a low oval-shaped mound measuring 10.6 meters by 7.6 meters. The layout separates the main chamber for the tomb owner from a side chamber for grave goods. So it's a different style, and it marks a transitional phase in the burial practices. The man was in his early 30s. Okay, there you can see where he was laid. Well, actually, this is the main tomb. This is the general. And then this is the guy down below who got thrown in there, apparently. Isn't that something? Yeah, pretty interesting. And then the other one from Korea is this one. Busosan Seong reveals first Baekje era ice storage. Is it Baekje? I forgot how to pronounce it. Anyway, that's another kingdom in ancient kingdom in Korea. But what is an ice storage area? Yeah, an ice storage facility. Okay, this is where they stored ice. Now, this is from the Sabi period, which is 538 to 660 CE. So this is in our own era, but this is still ancient. Okay? Yeah, a warehouse for storing ice was uncovered during the 17th excavation. That means the 17th year they've been digging there. And here we are looking at a jar that was alongside the ice storage. Yeah. And this was what was in the jar, some money. This is Chinese money in Korea. Yeah. Now, you might say, well, how do they keep the ice cold? Well, this is an area that gets cold in the winter, okay? It's not like, well, I don't even know if you know this, but you know when they make kimchi today? Where do they put it? They bury it underground. Why? Because it's really cold there. It's actually colder than a refrigerator under the ground, and that's why they put the kimchi down there, okay? So I'm sure they could do an ice storage facility. Yeah. It's on the Busosan Mountain. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting. Let me go back to your comments here. Boy, there's a lot. Okay. The man is still alive. Would be like, oh, thank you. Oh, I had to hold my breath a very long time. Defeated enemy? Could be Stuart. Like maybe they threw him in, like, you know. I feel like I don't hear about discoveries in Korea enough, even though it's so interesting, as well as steeped in culture and sites. Yeah. I look for things all over, you know. It's hard to find sometimes. Even in the archaeology news, it seems like Egypt gets a lot of press. You know, the Mediterranean gets a lot of press. But I try to find other things as well. I wonder if North Korea does any archaeology. That's a good question, Mark. I don't know, but they certainly don't announce it. You know? I was wondering the same thing. I'd be surprised if they did nothing. I would assume that they are interested in their own culture as we are. Yeah, you would think. I guess it's just top secret or something like that. All right, let's look at another one here. Oh, look at this. Okay. New discoveries in Nineveh. Okay, Nineveh, as you may know, was the capital of Assyria for a while. Okay, this is from the Neo-Assyrian period also, the time of the Assyrian Empire, one of the greatest empires. Well, depends on what you mean by great, but one of the most powerful empires. Okay, archaeologists unearthed 15 lamassu. So here's a little trivia question for you. What are lamassu? Maybe you can tell from the image. Okay. You ever see the bull with the man's head? Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Lamassu. A winged bull. They have wings as well. Yeah. So I announced in September, I think it was in the last broadcast, the last live stream I did, them finding lamassu. Well, now they found more. Okay, this is like a month later. Okay. The one they found last month was 6 meters, so it's very, very big. But now they've found more. 15 additional lamassu. Massive winged bulls with human faces, and a set of newly uncovered bas-reliefs from an Assyrian military palace. This is fantastic. Okay? Now, we're only just getting into this, right? This is all going to be studied, right? And we're going to find out a lot more from what's being recovered. Especially, I was thinking of those bas-reliefs from the palace. There's going to be like art on it and, you know, imagery that we can learn a lot from. Okay? They date to the reigns of 3 of Assyria's greatest kings, Sennacherib, Esarhaddon, and Ashurbanipal. These are all very famous kings, okay, who ruled at the height of the empire's dominance. Yeah. So this is when Nineveh was the capital. Yeah, the cuneiform documents that we have already say that Sennacherib's palace was without rival, and here we are excavating parts of it. This is going to be fantastic when we're going to find more, obviously. It's going to be great. Here's a bit of the lamassu, and you can see a little bit more of the palace here. Yeah, isn't this cool? So I love Assyrian stuff. Some of my favorite. Yeah, so I'm probably, you know, I don't know if it's probably the end of the excavation season for this year, but maybe next year there'll be some more great things that are found. And also in the off season, people will be studying these things, so maybe we'll hear something about them further. Let's see. Dragons. Mesopotamians had huge ice storage pits, 1750 BCE. Oh, you know what? I had forgotten about that, Gaggle. A winged guardian spirit, but I don't recall seeing bull-shaped ones. They're chimerae. The biblical kings of Assyria. Yeah, bad news, Badger. Those ones are mentioned in the... Well, at least the first 2 are mentioned in the Bible. I'm not sure if Ashurbanipal is, but Sennacherib and Esarhaddon, yeah, they're mentioned in the Bible. Absolutely. Okay, let's see what we got here. They don't like that I have an ad blocker on, but I do that for you. You know, the audience comes first. All right, new study suggests the ancient Egyptian plague of Akhenaten may not have happened. So let me give you a little background here. Akhenaten, not to be confused with Akhenaten. Akhenaten is the pharaoh, okay? Akhenaten is the city that pharaoh built, okay? So it was the capital of Egypt during Akhenaten's reign, All right. So we're talking about this would be the 14th century BCE. Okay. Long time ago. And it was abandoned. The city was abandoned after his reign. All right. So, I mean, some people said, well, it was abandoned because, his successors, they didn't want to be associated with him. He's a heretic. And so they moved everything back. They wanted to reopen Karnak and all of that. But there was also a theory that there was a plague. There was a plague that hit Akhetaten, and this caused the population to just, run, okay? Or to be wiped out or something. But they thought there was a plague, okay? But there's been a new study, okay? The plague has long been cited as a possible explanation for the mysterious abandonment of ancient Egypt's short-lived capital city. But a new archaeological analysis by Dr. Gretchen Dabbs and Dr. Anna Stevens analyzed the evidence for the plague and suggest it may never have affected Akhetaten at all. So there was a plague, but whether it affected this city is the question. Okay. Let's see. Evidence of this epidemic comes mainly from textual sources. This is in part because archaeological evidence for epidemics is notoriously difficult to identify. Among the textual evidence are Hittite plague prayers, which claim an epidemic in the Hittite Empire, brought in by Egyptian war captives. So, they have a document that they took Egyptian prisoners, and the war prisoners had a plague, and it spread. So, bad idea. But none of these textual sources indicate an epidemic in Akhetaten specifically. Okay? So, they did a systematic archaeological and bioarchaeological analysis of the city. Okay? So we pulled information from all these different lines of evidence at Amarna to compare what we know from Amarna, using textual, archaeological, and bioarchaeological data to what we would expect to see if the city was impacted by an epidemic disease. Okay? Yeah, they went into cemeteries, they looked at skeletal remains, okay, all of this, and disease markers on the skeletons were generally rare, with tuberculosis only identified in 7 individuals. Most bodies, which were not embalmed, were interred with grave goods, textiles, and mat coffins. And the burial positions were not disorderly or unusual, suggesting burial was not a hasty process. So they're saying probably not a plague. They're debunking the plague idea. Okay, I don't know yet what other people are going to say about it, but that's what this new study was about. So kind of interesting, huh? All right, here's another one. Ghost Fleet of the Iron Age. 3 ancient shipwrecks rewrite the story of Mediterranean seafaring. Now, these shipwrecks weren't just found this month. They were found, I think, in 2023, 2024. But it was this month that they announced a new study that brought these shipwrecks into light. So we're going to talk about what they've discovered from the discovery, okay? Yeah. Marine archaeologists from the University of Haifa and the University of California, San Diego, my alma mater, are the ones who uncovered these cargoes, okay? And they've been studying them. Oh yeah, it was during 2023 to 2024 that they found them in the Dor Lagoon. This is down here, right? In the Levant. That's where they discovered these 3 shipwrecks. Using GPS-aligned 3D mapping and precision dredging, that's how they identified 3 distinct ship cargoes. Okay, I don't think there was much of the ships left, but the cargoes were there. Okay, so one was from the 11th century BCE. That's the oldest one. Another one was from the 9th and 8th centuries BCE, and the last one was from the 7th to 6th centuries BC. So they're all very, very old. Okay, but spanning over a few hundred years. Okay, so the first one, number M, they call it. All right, this is when they were just beginning to rebuild after the Bronze Age collapse. Okay, and they found Iron Age 1, this is the early Iron Age, storage jars. Okay, they had an anchor that they found, which was inscribed with Cypro-Minoan signs. That means Cyprus and Crete. Okay. And these clues point to a vibrant network of early seafarers linking the city-state of Dor with Egypt and Cyprus. Yeah, long-distance trade for that time. The second one was from the period when the Israelites were controlling the city of Dor. Okay, and unlike the earlier Dor M cargo, Dor L1 shows fewer international imports, suggesting a contraction of maritime exchange. See how you just by studying the cargo, what you can learn? And then the last one, okay, L2, an era of imperial power. This is during the Assyrian and Babylonian empires, okay, that we were just talking about, the Assyrian Empire, okay? They had wine, oil, and resin, and astonishingly 9 iron blooms weighing up to 10 kilograms each. Iron blooms are semi-processed chunks of smelted iron. Yeah. This is one of the earliest known shipments of iron across the sea. It signals that by the 7th century BCE, the Mediterranean trade network had not only revived, but was thriving with industrial materials. Isn't that interesting how you can learn? This is kind of like, you know, when you watch CSI or something like that, but you're doing it with archaeology, how there's these little clues that are left behind, and when you analyze them, you can figure more things out, you know? So I thought that was pretty interesting. Let's see what you have to say. There were ice houses in Persia when Alexander conquered it, but that was a lot later. Ah, okay. It was the financial stimulus after the plague which ruined the city, LOL. Hello from Red Wing, Minnesota. Good to see you, Stephen. If there are bodies from the city, then Adna can show things such as Yersinia pestis. Oh, you're talking about the plague. Oh, ADNA. Oh, ADNA. Okay, that's what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't think they've done that yet. Okay, all of them are post-collapse, and you just managed to say it while I was writing this. Okay. All right, let's look at another one here. All right, now more was made of this than I think should be made of it. I'm actually linked here to the actual study. But the Menkaure pyramid, you know, this is one of the 3 pyramids at Giza, okay? Well, what about it? Well, they did some scanning of it, okay? This is the smallest of the 3 pyramids, okay? Recently, the possibility of a second entrance has been hypothesized, okay? There are granite blocks all around the bottom of the pyramid. Most of the pyramid is limestone, but on the outside, they've got granite, okay? Especially on the eastern side, all right? And I think they were thinking that behind the granite, there must have been another entranceway. Okay, there's the main entranceway, but then they think that there might be another entranceway. Okay, so they used 3 non-destructive techniques, ERT, GPR, and UST. I'm not going to say the whole names. Okay, they were carried out on the eastern face. All right, and basically what they found, I'll show you the area. Here's the area right here. Okay, see how it's flat there? It's kind of interesting. Like all the rest of the granite is not flattened, but this area is flattened. Okay, and they thought, well, could this be like a doorway that had been sealed up or something like that, you know? So they did some scanning there. And what did they find? Not what you... I mean, they did find evidence of some cavities, okay? But nothing like a hallway or anything like that, right? Let's go to the results just so I can read it to you directly. Here's all the work that they did. So, yeah, pretty scientific here. Okay? Oh, yeah. So here we're looking at some of the scans. The results. Excuse me. I gotta take a drink here. All right, wet my whistle there. Okay. So here you can see the cross sections. So, basically, yeah, there's some cavities here. But nothing like a whole like entrance or hallway or anything like that. It was announced in the news kind of as being sort of exciting, but it could be anything really, right? Now people can say, well, maybe there's something in those cavities, you know. They're not that large from what I can tell. I'm just trying to read the pertinent passage here for you, but I gave you the gist. Okay? Here we go. Two main anomalies, A1 and A2, were identified behind the granite blocks of the eastern face. It was found that anomaly 1 has the approximate dimensions of 1.5 meters by 1 meter and starts at a depth of 1.3 meters. Okay? While the approximate dimensions of anomaly A2 are 0.9 meters by 0.7 meters. So, it was concluded that both anomalies likely represent air-filled voids within a limestone medium, beginning directly behind the outer granite casing. So, well, at least they tried, right? At least they tried. You might say, well, why are you telling us about this if it didn't end up being anything? But I want to show you a little bit about processes that archaeologists use. And this study is just as important as if they did find something more major, right? Showing you how they answer questions, okay? Is there something behind there? Let's try to find out. And then they find out, you know? So I thought it was worth sharing. Okay. Let's look at another one here. Uh-oh. Why isn't it loading? It's having a little trouble. It was there for me before. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, this is about ancient DNA in China. Okay. Now, it goes back to the prehistoric period, but I'm sharing it, even though I do, usually ancient things, because it tells you a little bit about the ancient period, about where people came from, right? So scientists from Peking University have uncovered new genetic evidence that sheds light on how prehistoric people in China interacted, migrated, and built their communities. Okay, now, so here's the story. In China, there are two great rivers where cultures first developed, okay? River valley civilizations, right? You got the Yellow River, and you've got the Yangtze River, okay? Up in the Yellow River, they farmed millet, and at the Yangtze River area, they did rice, okay? Now, the question is, how much interaction did these people have? Okay, so they looked at the site of Baligang. You can see it on the map here. Am I showing it? Yeah. Baligang here on the map, which is between the two rivers, really. Right? Yeah, it's between the rivers. But it's closer to the Yangtze. Okay? So it makes it a key for understanding how ancient northern and southern populations interacted. The findings indicate continuous settlement in the area from 8,500 to 2,500 years ago, including a transition from rice to millet farming. Shows influence from the north, yeah. However, the genetic data needed to connect these cultural patterns to actual population movements had remained missing until now. Okay, so now they have the information. And what did they find out? Okay, they found out that, this is basically telling you what genomes they analyzed. I'm not going to read all this. But the results revealed that residents already carried a mix of northern and southern East Asian ancestry in the early Neolithic period. Over time, the proportion of this ancestry shifted, but not always in ways that match changes in pottery or farming style, suggesting that cultural innovation often spread without major migrations. Okay? For example, during the Chujialing and Longshan cultural periods, the genetic composition remained largely stable. Around 4,200 years ago, during a major global climate event, genetic data showed an increase in southern ancestry, pointing to possible northward movements of rice farming populations in response to environmental stress. So, what this means is, okay, the bottom line, all right, when it says people of northern ancestry and southern ancestry, they're talking about people today of northern and southern ancestry, so tracing them back. Okay? And what they're finding is that the people of today, who are both northerners and southerners, were at this site early on, but then after a major climate event, some people fled north, bringing rice cultivation with them. And those people ended up being northerners. So this is something we didn't really know before, right? You might think like maybe the north and the south were separate for the whole time, and then they started mixing. But it seems to be not the case here. So I thought that was interesting. For those of you who are interested in DNA research and population movements, pre-civilization, I thought that was worth sharing. Skeleton-filled well in Croatia likely holds remains of Roman soldiers. Study finds. Okay. Now they found this previously, but now they've studied the skeletons. Okay. This is in Croatia, and they found these are dead Roman soldiers. Okay, and experts believe they are soldiers who fought in the Battle of Mursa in AD 260. It says. Okay. They were originally recovered in 2011. All right, so that's how long we've had them. Although the skeletons were complete, they were found in varying positions in the well, including head down. Presumably, all the individuals were stripped of any valuables, weapons, armor, equipment, jewelry, etc., before they were thrown into the well. Yeah, this is so it's in the well. So imagine, if you will, after the battle. Okay, now they may have died on the battlefield. Probably did die in the battlefield, but then people are like, well, what are we going to do with these? And they threw them down the well, but they stole all their stuff first, and then they threw them down the well. Roman soldiers. AD 260, this is a period when Rome was having trouble, okay? But yeah, so kind of interesting. All 7 skeletons belong to adult males, 4 of them younger adults, and 3 middle-aged adults. Yeah. Several of the men had sustained injuries prior to death, including blunt force trauma to the forehead, rib fractures, and weapon wounds. Additionally, a layer of new bone on the inside of the rib cages, which is often seen in infections or injuries, suggests that all the men likely had a lower respiratory tract infection just prior to death. What? So maybe they were, well, maybe this is one of the reasons why they lost. They weren't in very good health. Something was going around, I suppose. Yeah. The carbon dates of the skeletons is the second half of the 3rd century, and then there was a Roman coin that was found minted AD 251. Yeah. Very interesting, huh? Let's see. History for Granite had a whole episode on this pyramid spot. Oh, okay. Cool. That scanning article is interesting. I wonder what History for Granite will make out of it. Oh, no finds is just as important as finding things. Yeah. And telling it does debunk some conspiracies, hopefully. Yeah, it looks like just a random hollow space for now. Yeah. Given the porous nature of any limestone fill, easy for it to be dissolved and lost. Sure. What a fate. I know, right? They've also found in southern Dalmatia a cave which dates to the time of Neanderthals. Oh, interesting. Yeah, these are on the opposite end of Croatia, near Hungary. Interesting. Hello from New Zealand. Hey, Peter. Glad to have you with us. All right. Let's look at another piece of news. 4,500-year-old burned house and Hellenistic fortress unearthed in Aşağıseyit. Aşağıseyit. How do you say it? Mound. Okay. Turkey, yeah. Yeah. So, look at this. Okay, this is part of the fort. This is the mound. This is near Denizli. Okay. Yeah, so 2 things. A house and a fortress, and they're from completely different times. Okay. So here is the house that was burnt, by the way. Somebody burnt it down in ancient times, okay? And it dates to 2500 BCE and offers a remarkable glimpse into domestic life during the early Bronze Age. Yeah, the dwelling's north and south walls were found remarkably intact, preserving household artifacts like pottery, figurines, bone and bronze tools, and storage vessels. Among the most significant discoveries were carbonized grape seeds, indicating that viticulture in the Chal region, today famous for its vineyards, dates back 4,500 years. So I bet you the wine, what do you call it? The winemakers of Chal today love this story, you know, because it goes way back. Archaeobotanical and micro-residue suggest that residents cultivated grains, figs, and grapes, and practiced weaving and pottery. See what you can learn from the clues left behind? Yeah. The burned house represents not only a tragic event, but also a time capsule. Yeah. And then there's the fortress, which is 2,300 years old. Okay, this is from the Hellenistic period, dating to 280 BCE. Oh, this is actually similar to the one we were just talking about. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was CE. Okay, so this is BCE. Sorry, completely different. Hellenistic period, right. Built amid conflicts between the Galatians and the Seleucids. Okay. I don't know if you know much about the Galatians. You know, there's a New Testament letter to the Galatians, but it means people who were basically Gauls. Gauls lived in what is now France, but there were some that lived in Asia Minor. Okay. And at the time of the Seleucid Empire, the Seleucids were controlling that territory, and so there was fights between them. Yeah, and so here's the wall from the fort. So, pretty interesting. Yeah. There was a battle called the Battle of the Elephants, and they've built fortresses after that. So, I thought that was an interesting find as well. 2,700-year-old temple with sacred cave discovered in Turkey, and it may honor the mother goddess. Yeah. This is a Phrygian temple. Yeah. Some people say Phrygia. Phrygia is fine. In fact, it probably is the right way to say it in English, but Phrygian I've been saying because it's closer to the original. But anyway, so this dates, well, the Phrygian kingdom dates to between 1200 and 650 BCE, and they had a mother goddess. Yeah. Matar. Okay. She had other names too, Kibele, and so forth. And so, yeah, anyway, they found this sacred site, sacred cave, and some rock idols. And you might say that's not much of a temple, but it's a sacred area where there were statues and they were worshipped and all of that. So, where the mother goddess was worshipped and the statues represented her. Yeah. And the rock idols were carved into the rock face itself. So you can see that. So this is a new, for those of you who are interested in the Phrygians, this is a great new discovery. And then here, this is from China. Archaeologists uncover ritual platforms that help pave the way for Chinese unification. All right, now let's talk about Chinese unification for a second. This is probably the emperor that everyone usually knows about from China is the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, right? And Qin Shi Huang united China. But it's becoming more and more apparent, as they do archaeology, that it wasn't just like the idea of this one guy and they just said, okay, I'm going to unite China, and then he united China. There was a unification movement already kind of going on. It's just that everyone wanted to be the person that did it, right? So in other words, there are lots of warlords of the time, and they're all kind of thinking about uniting China, all right? So this is kind of in the whole milieu of the time, okay? Well, anyway, this platform, okay, is at a place in Shandong. It's not a word I remember how to pronounce. Yeah, Chenjiangzito. Chenjiangzito, and I apologize if I butchered that, in Shandong. And archaeologists from Shandong University have been studying it. And not just archaeologists, also other researchers. And what they found here, okay, is evidence that there was an effort here before the unification, for people to get together and worship in similar ways, right? So these are ritual platforms where, religious ceremonies were performed, okay? But they brought together disparate ideas from believers all around China. So in other words, no matter where you were and how you worshipped, you could come here and worship. We could worship together. Right? It was a way of uniting people. It's kind of a similar idea to how they were doing this in Greece as well, with the Olympics and all this other stuff to try to unite people. And that's how they got to have gods in common, even though the Greeks were very disunited prior to that. Similar here in China, they're using religion to kind of bring people together. But to do that, you have to accommodate all the different beliefs, right? Yeah. Historical sources describe the worship of 8 deities, the spirits of heaven, earth, arms, sun, moon, yin, yang, and the 4 seasons, as the state belief system developed by the Qi state, which primarily ruled over the northern and eastern parts of present Shandong province in early China. So it wasn't the Qin state. The Qin state's the one that unified China, but the Qi state. The Qi state was already making efforts to unite people here religiously, because that's where the site is in their territory. Okay, these platforms represent the early practice of incorporation of local spirit worships into the state belief system, which subsequently inspired and developed into the later 8 deities belief system. Yeah, this is before the first emperor. So I thought this was an interesting study. Weren't Galatians Celts? Yes. Yes, they were. Here in my area of upstate New York, only moonshine tunnels for rum runners and an underground speakeasy, gambling dens with tunnels under the streets connecting old hotels, City Hall to them. That sounds like upstate New York. Yeah. The zeitgeist of Qin? Okay, let's look at another one. Research unearths origins of ancient Egypt's Karnak temple. Now, you may know this, but the Karnak temple is the greatest temple of Egypt, okay? And a lot of it's still there. You can see it in the picture there, okay? And I recently went there. I went there back in last November, almost a year ago now. But there was a study published in Antiquity, okay, that reveals new evidence on the age of the temple. How long was it there? Because so many different kings and other officials built there, okay? Especially in the New Kingdom. Most of it was built during the New Kingdom. But how long was the site there? How long was the temple there? How old was the original temple of Karnak? All of that? Well, this new research tells you the answer, okay? At least as far as we can tell. An international research team, okay, analyzed 61 sediment cores from within and around the temple site. The team also studied tens of thousands of ceramic fragments to help date their findings. Using this evidence, researchers have been able to map out how the landscape around the site changed throughout its history. They found that prior to about 2520 BCE, the site would have been unsuitable for permanent occupation due to being regularly flooded by fast-flowing water from the Nile. This means the earliest occupation at Karnak would have likely been during the Old Kingdom. Ceramic fragments found at the site corroborate this finding, with the earliest dating from sometime between 2305 and 1980 BC. So, so Karnak can only really go back to the Old Kingdom. Old Kingdom's still old, obviously, but it isn't prehistoric, okay? So that's interesting, isn't it? I thought that was an interesting discovery. All right. Here's another one from Turkey. Now, this is about a completely different culture. This is about Urartu. And I've had this in my monthly live streams before about Urartu, because all year they've been excavating there, or most of the year. And so there's been various discoveries. But anyway, the most recent find are newly discovered walls. Okay, the Urartu site is called Garbin Tepe. All right. And there well, this is a video about it, but anyway, I'll leave a link to it. Newly discovered walls where Urartian-era structures and lion sculptures were previously unearthed, we learned about that before, have excited archaeologists, okay? Yeah. The dig is led by Professor Mehmet Isikli, who's from Ataturk University, okay? Walls were uncovered at 2 separate points in the south area, and the structures were found 6 to 7 meters underground, detected during unauthorized digging in 2022. It must have been a local. Okay, and here you can see parts of the walls. Okay. They built a tent over it to protect it. Okay. Last year they found some wall paintings, but here's some more of the walls, or structures, I should say. Yeah. And here's some more photos from Urartu. Now you might say, what's Urartu? I never heard of Urartu before. Well, they were around back in the days of the early Iron Age, late Bronze, early Iron, in that area. I think they came around after Mitanni, if I'm not mistaken. The Assyrians fought them a few times, conquered them too, I think, at least for a bit. So yeah, they were smaller, but they weren't they were still a force to be reckoned with. They weren't a big empire, though. Yeah. So anyway, they're wondering why so much was put into building here, because way out in the middle of nowhere, but they're working on that to find out why. So that's another interesting discovery. And then over into the Americas here to Teotihuacan. Oh, what's this? Murals at Teotihuacan reveal possible 2,000-year-old Uto-Aztecan language. Yeah, this comes from a new study in current anthropology, may have solved one of the largest mysteries of ancient Mesoamerica, the language spoken at Teotihuacan. Did you know that we didn't know that? We don't know exactly what language was spoken there. It's the most famous site in Mexico, really. Isn't it? Yeah, it's the most famous site, maybe, in all of the Americas. But nobody knew what language they spoke there. They had a huge, state. Okay? It was founded around 100 BCE and had been about 600 CE. It's about a 700-year period, but it was one of the largest cities of the ancient world, home to more than 100,000 people. Yeah. Well, anyway, here are some of the symbols, the glyphic signs that we have. And there's been a recent study by Christopher Helmke and Magnus Faro Hansen of the University of Copenhagen. Now, this is just them proposing it, right? So they've done a study, they've done a very thorough study, and they've published it, and now it is time for peer review. But it's interesting, okay? Their study concludes that the Teotihuacanos spoke an early Uto-Aztecan language, the ancestor of later languages such as Cora, Huichol, and Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs. So it could be a direct linguistic link between Teotihuacan and the Aztecs. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. This is from years of examination of the glyphs. And here's the DOI if you want to go to current anthropology to read about it. Pretty cool, huh? I love that kind of stuff. Urartu is biblical Ararat. Yes, that is true. Aren't there still the natives who speak their languages in Mexico? There are people, I think that language family is still alive, yeah. And that helps, but they don't use those glyphs, right? The reading the glyphs is the tricky part. Hello from San Jose, California. Really cool news. I hope we have some news from my home country, Uzbekistan or Central Asia. We have a lot of ancient stuff there. This month I did not see, well, I saw one thing from Kazakhstan, but it was prehistoric, so I didn't share it today, but I do when I can find it, yeah. Oh, wow, I don't think I've ever caught World of Antiquity live before. Hi from Glasgow, Scotland. Hi, good to see you, Annie. Oh, yeah, Mark, this is a different language family, though, isn't it? The Tlaxcalan language? Is it Tlaxcalan? Tlaxcalan? I'm not sure how you say it. I'm not sure if it's the same language family. The climate of the area near Van wasn't as arid back then, I think. Yeah, probably. Would this conflict with the myth belief that the Aztecs came from the northern parts of Mexico, or just put such a hypothetical event further in the past? Oh, I guess it would put it further in the past, wouldn't it? Yeah. Interesting, yeah. Okay, I've got 4 more things to share with you. I got to move it along here. All right. This is from Italy. Mitsu, archaeologists unearth ancient Roman water basin. Yeah, I mean, say, oh, water basin. It's kind of interesting. Okay, it's in the Roman city of Gabii, 11 miles east of Rome. That's the ancient name. Okay, and a team led by University of Missouri professor Marcello Mogetta has made a remarkable discovery. The remains of a massive stone-lined basin, partly carved directly into the bedrock, built around 250 BC, it says, with some evidence that some parts may be even older. This discovery gives us a rare look at how the early Romans experimented with city planning. Its location at the center of the city suggests it may have been a monumental pool that was part of the city's forum. Interesting. It doesn't look that big, though, does it? But it's a pool of some kind. Exactly what it was for, I don't think he knows. But anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. And then we have this one. Another thing about Assyria, but this is in Jerusalem. Archaeologists unearthed first ever Assyrian inscription in Jerusalem. So this is what we're talking about. This little thing right here. Okay, it's cuneiform. They've never found Assyrian cuneiform in Jerusalem before. Okay, it's a 2,700-year-old pottery fragment. Now, you might say, well, what does it say? Well, there's not much preserved here. But what they can tell you is this. It is from official correspondence. We know what that looks like. It's from official correspondence between the royal court of Assyria and the royal court of the kingdom of Judah, which was around at that time. Okay? This is from the 8th to 7th centuries BCE. So this is in the Assyrian period. Yeah. And they found it near the western wall of the Temple Mount. It was Dr. Ayala Silberstein who found it. And there you can see a close-up of it. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well. And now I have two things that are not about discoveries, but they're part of the archaeology news, so I wanted to share them with you. And one is a heist. Now, I'm not talking about the Louvre heist. That was an interesting heist. This is a different one. Okay? Someone stole a pharaonic painting right out of Saqqara. Okay? And nobody knows who or how. Okay? A limestone pharaonic painting has gone missing from Egypt's famed Saqqara necropolis, becoming the latest artifact to disappear in a country known for its rich and lengthy history. The painting was in the tomb of Kentika. Okay? The Mastaba tomb was found in the 1950s and hasn't been opened since 2019. So it was closed. Like, no one's been going in there. I mean, tourists have not been going in there anyway since 2019. Okay? They're investigating the circumstances of the painting's disappearance and didn't give any further details. The tomb dates to roughly between 2700 and 2200 BC. Yeah. There's no picture of the painting, though. Well, I guess they can't now. So, pretty terrible that it's gone. But maybe, hopefully, the robbers are taking care of it. But anyway, it's not there anymore. Yeah. And then the other piece of news is another crime, apparently. Rare Roman legionary helmet looted from Serbia appears in U.S. auction. Okay, there it is. All right. So apparently there's an auction, and this Roman legionary helmet went on the auction block, and the people from Serbia were like, wait a minute. That's ours. Okay. How did it get there? And no one really knows. Well, I don't think anyone knows, at least when they were writing this article. Okay. Yeah, reportedly unearthed near the ancient city of Sirmium in northern Serbia, has appeared for sale in a private online auction, under circumstances that Serbian experts describe as deeply suspicious. Okay, it dates from the 2nd century AD, features an extended neck guard, and elaborately decorated hinged cheek pieces designed to balance protection and mobility. And it has an inscription on it, identifying it as the personal property of a Roman soldier named Appius of Legio the 4th Flavia Felix, a legion once stationed at Singidunum. According to the Texas-based Treasure Trove Auctions, which lists the piece with an estimated price of $15,000 to $45,000, the helmet has been professionally cleaned and temporarily preserved with conservation wax, maintaining its beautiful patina. So, the legal status of the export is highly questionable. So, I'm not sure who was involved, okay? But they're saying they didn't have authorization, whoever it was. They probably know who it was, but because they have to pursue legal, avenues here, they might not want to mention the person's name. Be careful, though. Whatever appears on auction, ancient artifacts, more likely than not, it was stolen. Yeah. Otherwise, it would be in a museum. All right. How can a painting vanish like that? Off the wall? Yeah, apparently. Like, it's on the wall, right? And they would have, how could they take it away in one piece? Well, it could have been on a plastered wall, but still. How do you get the painting? I'm not even sure. You'd have to be a professional to do this. I can't understand how that could be done very easily. Yeah, I have to see the painting, but I don't know what it looks like. Part of archaeological news in Costa Rica, in the area of Catao, recently several tombs pre-Columbus were located. Oh, okay. Good to know. I didn't see that one. Maybe a paddling pool for the mucky toe beans. Could be, Annie. That's awesome. Dog tag still identifying property 2,000 years later. Yeah. Belongs in a museum. Yeah, that's what I would say. But I don't know what's going to happen with it now. I assume the auction was stopped. I don't think anyone bought it, as far as I know. Anyway, folks, that's what I came here to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed that. Me rambling like this. But I love to talk about this stuff. I hope you enjoy hearing about it. And next month we'll be doing another one. And there'll be a bunch more new discoveries. So it should be interesting. And of course, I've got new videos up on the channel if you haven't checked them out yet. You know, my creepiest creepiest discoveries of the year. I've got my Egypt travel videos where I show you all kinds of cool temples. So check them out if you haven't seen them yet. Thank you so much for spending time with me today.